Hi, everyone. Welcome to the 26th episode of the Social Good Podcast. Today we have with us Sarah Jakle. She is the founder of DemocraShe. Thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah.
Thank you, Rose. I'm so glad to be here.
Great, great. So tell me a little bit about DemocraShe and yeah, how long have you been at this thing for?
DemocraShe is a national, nonpartisan civic leadership training program for historically underserved high school girls. There's kind of a story about how this all started. We teach practical public policy skills, but we also teach the ability to stick with it when it gets hard. Because I think we can all agree that being in civic and elected spaces is difficult and there's a lot of pushback. So for every public policy skill that we teach an evidence-based neuroscience skill to help a young woman step out of her comfort zone and be brave, to protect her nervous system if someone is pushing back on her, and
Okay.
also like find that voice inside her that encourages rather than discourages, because there's so many statistics of young women dropping out of leadership and we want our girls to persist.
Got you, got you. Um, so you work mainly with high school high schoolers, meaning in the US, correct? High school girls in the US?
Yes, grades 9 through 12. Many of our alumni are in college, but the actual program is for grades 9 through 12.
Got you, got you. Is there a reason for that? Do you have any plans to go into earlier ages like middle school or
Yeah. So, couple things. One was when I was working with women and I was talking with them about these resiliency practices, the evidence-based practices,
mm,
they kept saying, I wish I knew that in high school.
okay.
What would my career have been like if I'd had this kind of information and this kind of ability to support my confidence in high school? And the more I looked into it, high school is the last time boys and girls think they can run for office equally. So it's the right time to intervene and make sure those young women stay sprinting forward instead of stalling and then having to kind of restart later in life. So certainly if we can expand, it'd be lovely to go into middle school. We do college programming with our advanced DemocraShe alumni programming, which works with girls in college as well. But
Okay.
my real passion is that pivotal age, that pivotal developmental age of high
Sure,
school.
sure. Oh, I see, I see. So you've kind of found that as a sweet spot, where you can approach these girls um and their will to, go into politics. So how have your encounters been with those high school girls?
So I am all for high school girls. High school girls are deeply underestimated, even in the democracy space, because many of them can't yet vote. They are extraordinary. My
Okay.
experience with high school girls is that, honestly, Rose, when I had the idea for DemocraShe, the only thing that I decided by myself is that I can't build a program for young women without the input of young women. So from
Got you,
the very
got you.
beginning,
Yeah.
there was a leadership team of high school and college girls who built every part of DemocraShe, from our name to our logo to our website to our grounding principles to our curriculum. And they also
Wonderful.
led the first workshops. And from that came a
Hmm.
model where our girls can go through the program. So they're learning about leadership and resilience. And then they come back and teach it. So they teach the incoming classes those same leadership and resiliency skills. So they practice what they've learned. And
Got you.
I think you can either tell young women you believe in them, or you can show young women you believe in them by
Sure.
giving them so much authority, right? In running workshops and breakout rooms and
True.
everything. And the model has been part of DemocraShe's success because in the high school age, the peer-to-peer leadership and the peer-to-peer mentorship is incredibly powerful for
Mhm.
even more than like the adult to high school girl mentorship. So I think it's been one of the strengths is finding this sweet spot of high school girls and incubating such incredible leaders to run our very own programming.
So like what are some of the workshops like? Because I remember when I was in high school, I did very briefly a stint where I honestly just um some sort of like high school practicum, right? These workshops on, you know, just practicing like local elections and such and such. But how what are your workshops like? How do you recruit people? Give me all the, all the ins.
Yeah. So I love that you did that. It's interesting because a lot of organizations teach kind of how government works, how civics works. When I was working in politics, I was seeing what was coming in women. So women couldn't imagine themselves as candidates for office, even though they were just as qualified, if not more qualified. And then when they did step up into public service, they got up to 10 times more harassment and bullying than the male candidates. So it occurred to me that if we were going to build a pipeline, we have to build in the skills for sustaining your confidence and believing in your ability to take that leap, right? To go for something ambitious and also to protect yourself if people are trying to dysregulate you. So I say all that to say there in our DemocraShe workshops, there's the 10-week workshop, the 1-day workshop, and the self-directed workshop. So
Right.
in the 10-week workshop, there are many opportunities to engage, to figure out civic engagement. Like we advocate from our own lived experience. We advocate on behalf of somebody else's lived experience. We all call our representatives. We study local action and how we can plug into our communities. We do DemocraShe Congress where we co-sponsor and pass bills. But at every stage, we tie each of these skills to the evidence-based resiliency skills. So before I make a campaign speech, which all of our girls do, they
Mm.
run for office, they put their name out there. We ask, are there any nerves in the room? Can you put a heart on your screen? We are an online program. And the whole screen, Rose, fills with hearts. Because part of what is hard is we think we're the only ones that are nervous. And over in DemocraShe, we see that everybody feels this way. It's totally normal. And we have skills to combat it. So we might, before we make a speech, when we're noticing we're getting racy and anxious, we ground. We ground on Mother Earth. And Mother Earth is always beneath our feet. She is solid. She is supportive. She goes with us wherever we want to go. And if you're going to be brave and give a speech, you notice yourself making physical contact with her, and it helps pull you back into your body and settle some of those nerves.
Got
And
you,
then
got
we'll
you.
say, after you ground, what would your inner best friend say? Because we're all very familiar with the inner critic. So, Rose, we all have that voice that says, it's not your turn, it's not your time, this won't go well, this won't work. And we ask the girls to resource an inner best friend and
Gotcha.
somebody who encourage an encouraging, supportive voice who will step up and tell them that their voice belongs here and they're important and they have every right. So our girls are not just making speeches. They're learning to ground. They're learning to check in with the inner best friend. And we do this over and over with all of the public policy skills that we teach so that the girls take this out into their own life, right? So before a test, they ground and check in with inner best friend. And before an AP, they ground and check in with inner best friend. And when deciding what college to apply to, and there's a college that feels like a dream college that'll never take you, you ground and you check in with your inner best friend who says, absolutely go for it. So that is throughout the 10-week program, the 1-day program, and the self-directed program.
So, like, are all of these workshops online, or are there any like in-person workshops as well?
Yes. So this is the other thing I was seeing in US politics in 2020 when I was working. our states are being siloed into different countries. And if we want to move forward as an actual republic, we have to be able to talk across state lines and for women to know what women are going through all across the United States of America. Because in high school, you're kind of in a little bubble right where you are. So
Right.
we did make the decision to be a completely online program because what that allows us to do is put 42 states in the room together. So Iowa is talking to Texas, is talking to Florida, is talking to California, because we can all join on our phones or computers. And the other thing about in-person workshops is you have to
Mhm.
be near something that can offer it. So I live in Los Angeles. There's a
Right.
ton of offerings in Los Angeles. There's not as much in the rural parts of our country in different states, not the same kind of support for women. So we wanted to leave no girl behind and make sure that everyone had equal access by just opening up your computer. And we work very hard to make our online community loving, engaging, fun, dynamic. And we do see girls coming back over and over. Um, and the other thing about our commitment to these girls is we pay them a stipend. So when I was working, I keep saying this, but when I was working in politics, because so much of DemocraShe came out of my work in politics, I was seeing that most early political pipeline opportunities are unpaid internships, right? Because
That's
campaigns can't
true.
afford
That is
to
so
pay their
true. Yeah.
volunteers, right? What
Yeah.
that means is, though, the only people getting access to these critical early opportunities were people whose families could afford volunteer work. And
Hmm.
if we want America to reflect all of her people, then we have to remove the barriers to entry in our democracy, one of
Hmm.
which is unpaid work. So we
Yeah.
pay every democracy girl and of course all of our leaders a stipend so that income level never stops somebody from joining our community.
Yeah, I mean, I remember like going on my, on the job board for for jobs across like USC alumni, and like pretty much 99.5% of the internships for like the political organizations would be like unpaid internships. I do remember seeing that just across a lot across the board.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was saying as well. And I think it's something that has to change. I get that people have tight budgets, but we really are closing opportunities to young people who would have to work. And we need their voices and lived experiences participating in our democracy. So I will tell you, Rose, a lot of people thought I had lost my mind as a young nonprofit. We've been around 5 years to pay our participants, but it's just really important to me that we make sure that's never a barrier to realizing your leadership, your confidence, your resilience, and your sisterhood.
Definitely, definitely. So I mean I've I'm in my like I'm like in my mid-30s. I grew up in Houston and went to school in Los Angeles. I've never seen an organization like this. It did catch my eye. So can you tell me a little bit about, you know, um a little bit about like how do you recruit these girls? Like how do girls in high school, young enough as that is, to how do you find the girls that are interested in politics? Like, how do you like get the message across to them? Or like at that age, are girls cognizant enough to know that they are interested in politics? Like, how do you recruit? That's kind of like part of what I'm curious about.
Yeah, great question. So we have a couple ways. One is that we have a lot of nonprofit partners who are doing amazing
Mm,
work, and we get
okay.
to go to them and say, "Can we pay your students to take all the incredible things you're teaching them and turn it into civic engagement?" We think that every woman should know running for office is her birthright. Whether or not she runs, she should know that. It is an
Mm,
option and she belongs in leading our country. One of the
Okay.
things we test before and after DemocraShe is the question, um, I see myself as a candidate for office,
Mm,
and it goes from 39% before DemocraShe to 85% after. So there's a real jump. So we're good faith nonprofit partners when we're recruiting. There are many schools that have girls that go through it and talk to their counselors about it, and so the schools start sending out the opportunity, and of course word of mouth. By
right.
far, Rose, the best way that we recruit, because we are national in scope, is on Instagram. You have to meet girls where they are. So we
Okay.
do Instagram like ads and posts, and we are so successful actually in recruitment and now in word of mouth that it's built up to where DemocraShe gets 7 times more applications than we currently can have room for because there
Okay.
is so much interest in the program.
Okay, I'm just a little bit curious about that because wouldn't like so it would be Gen Xers right now or Gen
Actually, not
Z?
sure.
Okay, okay. Um Last time I had checked, I had thought that like between those lines, like Gen Xers and or Gen Z were like very popular or into TikTok. Last time I checked. So do you not are you guys on TikTok at all or
I think we're just starting up a TikTok account, but honestly,
oh, okay.
Instagram has been huge for us. Our
Okay.
Instagram account is called DemocraSheroes. And the young women do
It's cute.
incredible content. It's super cute. And that's
Yeah.
what we call our participants.
All right.
And so
All
I
right.
think young women see like this is a paid opportunity to step more confidently into leadership, to
Mm-hmm.
learn more about the country I live in and my place in it. And that's kind of where many start. It's only at the end of the program that
Mm-hmm.
people are like, I want to run for office. I want to found a nonprofit. I want to throw a conference, right? Because we're building projects as part of the graduation.
It
So I
is.
think, it's an easy entry point. And
Mm-hmm.
then and all the credit goes to our young content creators of DemocraShe
Nice,
who are
nice, nice.
wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, in this day and age, content creation is its own thing. And there, I mean,
It is.
sometimes like because the average American spends like a good 4 to 5 hours online. That just and what are we looking at? Content, right? So that kind of like makes me think like who's creating that content, right? So yeah, I can only imagine how much like content creation is, um important to just not only like politics of democracy, but just every field, every single field out there today in
I
this day
think
and
so
age.
now.
Yeah, yeah. So like who is doing the content? Are they like the democracy heroes or like what are
So
some of
we
that? Mhm.
ask when you graduate from DemocraShe, you get asked if you're interested in staying participating. And most girls say yes.
Okay.
So there are a lot of different teams to join, one of which is the social media team. And the
Right.
social media team is responsible for some of the strategy and content creation. We have a social media manager. And then I think we also reach out to other girls in the program to get their perspectives. If they'd like to say anything, we want to feature girls' voices. We want to feature empowered,
Mm-hmm.
proud, radiant young women stepping
Mm,
confidently into their voice. So we
mm,
want to give the
yeah.
opportunity to as many girls as possible.
Yeah, I think like especially when you're like at in college, I feel like as girls we explore so much in that like safe environment, right? But in up until high school, we just absorb everything that's given to us. So what a great like opportunity and really like initiative on part of democracy. So I really applaud you for that, Sarah. Um,
Thank
yeah,
you,
kind
Rose.
of course. So kind of going into that, my question is, how do you direct the girls into what policies? Because there's like parties and like how do you direct the girls into like, what political stances to take and etc.
Yeah. So this is very important. We are a nonprofit. We are nonpartisan. We
Okay.
never direct girls into parties, issues, stances. When girls are speaking and making speeches in democracy, they're talking about issues that they are passionate about. One of the things I talk to the girls about is the Viktor Frankl quote, which I'm paraphrasing. In between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is choice, and in that choice is freedom. So, what we say to the girls is we're going to teach you skills to make a little room between incoming stimulus and your own authentic response. What that incubates for you is choice. How do you want to show up? When do you want to leave? What do you want to do? And all those women having that choice is freedom. So we never tell a girl what her choice is. We make the space for her to realize what's important to her
Okay.
and to step confidently into that.
I see. I see. So it's really taking like, I love how holistic it is. It's really taking a holistic approach on approaching girls. Yeah, what gave you the idea to start DemocraShe?
Yeah, so, I started as a social worker with our unhoused community dealing with mental illness. And working with them, I got a master's in public policy to fight for them because I was very angry about how they were treated. And I got a master's in social work. I got a military master's in social work because at the time, the military were the only people looking at trauma. And I wanted to study trauma and how brains overcome adversity, how they overcome adversity and even thrive. So then after the election of 2016, I decided to be a social worker for the country and got into political work, doing voter registration, serving as the Get Out the Vote director for the California National Organization for Women. And that is where I saw how woefully underrepresented women are in government. So right now in the United States Congress, women are 28%, and it is being celebrated as a historic high. It's not even a third. Women of color are only 11%. And so looking at this and looking at also how female candidates are treated, they receive very different questions from men. What are they wearing? What are their children doing while they're out campaigning? They say their comment section fills up with hate comments and just for wanting to be in public service. And so all of my history, I was like the Venn diagram between a master's in public policy and a master's in social work that looks at trauma is the right Venn diagram to help prepare women to step into leadership. Because there is a lot of pushback that you get. And that's true whether you're in elected office, whether you're in a boardroom, there is pushback that women get, and it amplifies across any intersectional identity. So starting to build the tools to persevere when it gets hard into how we train up our women leaders. And then again, letting every girl know that running for office is her birthright. Whether or not she ever decides to run, she should know that. She absolutely can run for senator. And one of the things that we've said is if she thinks she can be senator, she knows she can be CEO. So kind of using it as this aspirational highest office. And once you can see yourself there, there's nowhere you can't see yourself.
Um, yeah, I don't think that I could have, you know, said or like contributed to anything, anything more to how you kind of founded democracy and run democracy. I think like yeah, just the part about, it being the birthright of girls to run for office. Yeah, like, do you think that women need other women role models, and like, how do you think that you should like, not track, but how do you think that women should follow up with graduates of democracy, um, if at all, and what are your hopes regarding that part?
Yeah, I think representation matters. I think you can't be what you can't see. Neither of those
Mm,
statements is mine, right? There's statements that are made a lot for a very good reason. I think we start in democracy by having peer leaders who are your age, who are confidently talking about how they've taken the democracy skills and turned it into action, turned it into leadership, how they use inner best friend every day, because that means the girl in the program already can see herself, right? She's already got representation and mentorship built into who's leading the program. So
that's
she
true.
leaves with a community where is reflecting how wonderful she is and how radiant she is and the diverse lived experiences that make up our country. She leaves with that community. I think we're always looking for speakers in democracy. We were lucky enough to get like Gretchen Whitmer, who's the governor of Michigan, as a speaker, and that was so exciting. I think one of the opportunities we have is as mentors, so who can work with some of the students going through the 10-week program. So hopefully there are ways that adult women can plug in and support. And certainly, I will say, because I am the executive director, but making like a $15 donation is supporting the young girls because we have to raise the stipends in order to admit students into our program. So there's so many different ways to show up. Some are in person, some are financial, some are by volunteering. But I do think it does matter to see that adult women, for those high school girls, to see that adult women care about them.
Definitely, definitely. What are your plans for recruiting? And does it have to be like women in office that reach out to these young women in high school?
So we have a ton of different speakers. We have speakers in STEM. We have speakers in public policy. We have speakers in law. We have speakers in elected office. There's kind
Okay.
of there are financial literacy speakers. We want to expose the girls to as many different perspectives as possible. There are so many different ways to be a leader in our country and participate. So I would say there's no kind of one woman that we're looking for recruiting. It's people that are passionate and have something to share that girls would be excited to learn more about.
Got you, got you. Um, and how does democracy get funding?
Yeah, so we get funded same as any other nonprofit. It is personal donations, it is family foundations, it is
Mhm.
bigger foundations. Kind of sometimes we have events, right? Fundraising events. So I would say pretty typical for any nonprofit.
Perfect, perfect. What are your plans going into the latter half of 2026?
We are for the first time running 4 workshops instead of 3 in the fall. So
Okay.
we are very excited to be expanding. That expands the leadership team who runs the workshops, that expands the number of girls who can participate in the workshops. So I think we're looking really excitedly at getting to run 4 workshops in the fall. And we plan to keep building out workshops, but this is our first jump from 3 to 4. We started with 1 workshop in the spring and 1 workshop in the fall. And we've expanded to 3 in the spring and 3 in the fall. And now we're going to have 4 in the fall.
How many people attend these workshops on?
We want to keep it small so girls get a lot of individual attention. So it's about 25 girls per
Okay, okay.
workshop. And then that's why we also have the summer workshops, which are 1 day intensives. and we have 7 of those that also serve girls. And because there's such a demand, we have a self-directed on our
Mm,
website for
mhm.
completely for free to go through our entire curriculum with dynamic videos, short videos of radiant high school girls who lead you through our curriculum. And
I
then at
see.
the end, you have the opportunity to start a democracy club at your school.
Wonderful, wonderful. So that it can be like self-directed. So that would be the only part that's like in person, or are all
That
of
is
the
in person. If you
mm,
start a club, then you get to direct that, and that's in person.
I see. But the four main workshops are online.
They are all online. It's very important. Girls talk a lot about how meaningful it is to have a national sisterhood, and that
Mm,
they're in every state. They have somebody to stay with. They have somebody who believes in them. They have somebody to learn from. Girls are
mhm.
often shocked at what's going on in different parts of the country. So I think our community is very sacred in like bringing together all the different states to learn from each other and hear what each other go through. So that will always be online.
Yeah, like do you attend all of the workshops, Sarah?
Me?
Yes.
No. Um, I often sit in the Wednesday workshop, the first workshop, just to
Mhm.
see if there are any tweaks we need to make. But no, the girls are, we totally trust and believe the girls to run it themselves. So I might sit in the first one to come in and check for any changes. But most of the time, it's just entirely peer led rooms.
Uh, yeah, like what's the proudest experience that you've had from these workshops?
I think, um,
Or democracy in general, for that matter.
yeah, I would say in the workshops, it was, and this is when I was sitting in on the
Yeah.
DemocraShe Congress. And what we do is the girls change their name to Congresswoman, and they get put in different committees. And the different committees are, different breakout rooms. And the girls propose and then co sponsor the bills before they present them on the main floor. And what was really interesting is we talk in democracy about, we say, what do you think of Congress? And the girls are like, it's dysfunctional, everybody's fighting. And we say, so we're going to be a thought experiment. We are going to use a yes and model. So rather than arguing with you or trying to tear down your opinion, I'm going to find what I can say yes to. And it's okay if there's nothing, right? But what I can say yes to, and what I would add. So it started with a girl, the congresswoman from California, proposed a gun control bill where nobody would have guns but the military and the police. Very California.
Okay.
She went to her sister, who was we call each other sisters in the program, the congresswoman from Indiana. And the congresswoman from Indiana said, yes, I love your idea. And that would never work in Indiana. It would never fly. Guns are just too much a part of our lives. However, my yes and, is that I had a sophomore get guns as a present. And I think that is too young. I think there should be an age limit for guns. And I think there should be a license, just like we have a driver's license. And the congresswoman from Michigan was like, yes to this. And in Michigan, we're talking a lot about mental health to prevent gun violence, mental health for people to go through gun violence. And I also would like to say, I don't think assault rifles have any place. Like, they're not used for hunting, they're nothing. And the congressman from Michigan was like, that works for me. We could get rid of assault rifles. And California was like, that works for me. And the bill that they put forward on the House floor, which is the DemocraShe main Zoom room, was
Okay.
a national bill that had built across state lines, across so many different experiences, and come up with a bill that would make concrete change in people's lives. And we talk about what is the impact of this bill. If you actually pass this bill, if you're in Congress, you pass this bill, what is the impact? So girls say lives are saved, right? Like people have a license now when they're going out to use a gun. They understand how to use it. There are less accidents. And I was so proud of that breakout room, that standing
Okay.
committee, and the bill that they
Okay.
built, because I believe we can build legislation like that in America
Mhm.
once these young women step into power.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, like, politics, I feel, has such a vital role because, like, I remember watching this this video on either Facebook or Instagram from Melinda French Gates, and she mentioned how, like, how each in society there's like the role of government, there's a role of corporations, slash technology, and there's the role of like we as the people, right? And so she was saying how each has a vital role in society. And I can't imagine like and she's also a strong, like a strong proponent for women. So I can only see how like politics shapes, especially politics supporting women, shapes so many like vast, like overreaching fields. And so I can only imagine how far this can go. Yeah, it's just yeah. It's a
Thank you,
lot. It's a
Rose.
lot
That
to
is the
digest,
dream.
right?
That is the dream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So thank you so much for joining us today, Sarah. I really appreciate it. I can't wait to see what DemocraShe keeps doing. And yeah, I wish you guys the best of luck. And where can the audience find you, Sarah?
Yeah. So we are at democracy.org. And if you're interested in reaching me, there is a contact us on our website. And I'd love to hear from you.
Great, great. So again, thank you so much, Sarah. And yeah, let's everyone root for democracy. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rose.